You know what to do, so why aren't you doing it? The War of Art Explained. Part 1. The invisible force that's stopping you, and why it feels like laziness. You have goals. You have skills. You have ideas. You even have time. And yet, you don't begin. You think about starting. You plan to start. You talk about starting. But when the moment comes, you scroll. You snack. You check email. You tidy your desk. You say, I'll do it after I shower. I need to clear my head first. And then the day ends. And you've done nothing. Again. You wonder, am I just lazy? Do I lack discipline? What's wrong with me? Here's the truth. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just under attack. From an enemy you can't see, but you feel it every single day. Steven Pressfield calls it resistance. What is resistance? Resistance is not a person. It's not your schedule. It's not your lack of motivation. It's a psychological force that shows up the moment you try to do something meaningful. Want to write a book? Resistance shows up. Want to start a business? Resistance shows up. Want to change your life, your habits, your body, your relationships? Resistance will be there before you even begin. Resistance feels like procrastination, perfectionism, overplanning, fear, anxiety, self-doubt, busyness, research, imposter syndrome, fatigue, sudden urges to clean, text, organize. It's sneaky. It's persuasive. And it wears 1,000 disguises. Resistance will tell you anything to keep you from doing your work. It will perjure, fabricate. It will lie. Steven Pressfield. The truth. Resistance only attacks the important. If you feel heavy resistance towards something, it's a sign that thing matters deeply. Resistance doesn't show up when you scroll Instagram. It doesn't bother you when you binge Netflix. But the moment you try to grow, change, create, or commit, it attacks. Because resistance is afraid of your potential. In this video, we'll go deep into how resistance works, why it feels so personal, and how you can beat it, not once, but every single day. This isn't motivational fluff. This is psychological war. And we're going to give you a strategy to win it. Part 2. How resistance lies to you and why you keep believing it. Resistance isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And the worst part, it sounds like your own voice. The voice in your head. When resistance shows up, it doesn't say, I'm here to sabotage your life. It says things like, let's not force it today. You need to do more research first. You're probably not ready. Maybe next week will be better. You're not like those people. If it mattered, it wouldn't feel this hard. Every one of those thoughts feels reasonable. But they're lies. Every single one. Because what they're really saying is, don't begin. Don't try. Stay where you are. Why you believe the lies? You're not dumb. You know better. But resistance doesn't attack your logic. It attacks your emotion. It speaks in the language of fear and comfort. Fear of failure. Fear of success. Fear of exposure. Fear of judgment. Fear of wasting time. Fear of wasting your potential. And comfort is always there to offer a cozy alternative. Just one more scroll. Just one more snack. Let's think about it instead of doing it. Resistance is a master of rationalization. It uses logic as a trap. You need clarity before you start. You should wait until you feel motivated. You're not in the right mindset today. Sound familiar? Resistance is a shapeshifter. Some days it shows up as perfectionism. It has to be perfect, or it's not worth doing. Other days, it pretends to be productivity. Let's redesign the entire system before we write one word. Sometimes it's even ambition. We need a bigger goal before we take the first step. And on bad days, it shows up as self-hate. You're just lazy. You always do this. You're never going to change. But resistance isn't interested in the truth. It's interested in keeping you still. Because if you start, if you take action, if you push through, you prove resistance wrong. And it hates that. The resistance loop. Here's how resistance wins. You feel a pull to do something meaningful. Resistance triggers discomfort. You interpret discomfort as a sign you're not ready. You hesitate or distract yourself. You feel guilty. The guilt becomes shame. Shame feeds resistance. Repeat. The only way to break the loop. Recognize the voice and act anyway. Key insight. The moment you hear resistance speak, that's the moment you know exactly what you need to do. If resistance says, "Don't start the business," you start the business. If it says, "Don't post the thing," you post the thing. If it says, "Don't reach out, don't pitch, don't try," you must. Because resistance doesn't guard junk. It guards treasure. In the next part, we'll uncover the real identity of resistance, why it feels so personal, and how understanding its source gives you the upper hand. Part 3. Resistance is not you, but it knows where you live. Let's get one thing clear. Resistance is not you. It lives inside you. It speaks with your voice. It knows your fears, your doubts, your insecurities. But it's not you. Why resistance feels so personal. Resistance doesn't show up like an external obstacle. It doesn't come from outside criticism or failure. It rises from within. Because resistance is born from your ego. The part of you that wants to stay safe, liked, protected, unseen. Whenever you aim for something meaningful, resistance panics. Because meaning is risky. If you publish your writing, people might judge it. If you start that business, you might fail publicly. If you get in shape, people might notice and expect more. If you express your art, someone might laugh. So the ego sends in its defense mechanism. Resistance. Resistance is a biological survival response. Back in caveman days, staying in the cave meant staying alive. Venturing out meant exposure, hunger, danger, shame, rejection by the tribe. Your brain evolved to avoid risk at all costs. And today, starting a podcast feels like social death. Posting your art feels like exile. Writing that book feels like a lion is watching. That's not you being weak. That's your nervous system screaming. Don't leave the cave. Stay hidden. Stay safe. You are the observer, not the voice. Here's the powerful shift. The voice of resistance is not your identity. It's a reflex. It's background noise. It's a scared part of you trying to help, but doing it badly. Your job is not to believe it. Your job is to notice it. To say, "Ah, resistance, you're here again. That must mean I'm on the right track." This detachment is everything. Because once you see resistance as separate, you can stop negotiating with it. Don't argue with resistance, move through it. Arguing with resistance is like arguing with a foghorn. It doesn't care, It doesn't change. It only gets louder. Don't reason with it. Don't wait for it to go away. Just act. Even one tiny step silences it more than 1,000 thoughts ever will. Resistance is predictable. It always shows up before meaningful action. Attacks at the beginning. Rises strongest just before breakthroughs. Comes back daily. Evolves as you evolve. But that's good news. Because if resistance is predictable, you can prepare for it. You can stop being surprised by it. You can learn to smile and say, "You again. Good, I must be doing something real." In the next part, we'll shift focus from recognizing resistance to defeating it. Using a method professionals use every day, turning pro. Part 4, turning pro, the decision that destroys resistance. Amateurs wait to feel ready. Professionals show up anyway. That's the core of Steven Pressfield's answer to resistance. The amateur believes he must first overcome his fear, then he can do his work. The professional knows that fear can never be overcome. He does his work in spite of it. The amateur versus the professional. Let's break it down. Red triangle pointed down the amateur. Waits to be inspired. Avoids discomfort. Ties their identity to their work. Is paralyzed by fear of failure. Lives in emotional reaction. Looks for permission. Says, "I'll do it when I feel like it." Red triangle pointed up the professional. Works with or without motivation. Accepts discomfort as part of the process. Separates self-worth from performance. Is aware of fear and works anyway. Is emotionally steady. Self-validates. Says, "This is who I am, so this is what I do." Turning pro isn't about external rewards. It's a mental shift. It's saying, "This matters to me, so I will treat it like it matters." Treat it like a job, even if you're not paid yet. Professionals show up at a set time. Work with or without results. Build structure around the task. Don't romanticize the struggle. Do the work, even when it's boring. This is how musicians, writers, athletes, and creators endure. Not through passion, but discipline. And paradoxically, that's when the passion grows. Because nothing builds pride like consistency. Build a ritual, not a routine. Turning pro is not about forcing yourself. It's about designing an identity. Examples. Writing from 8:10 a.m. with no internet. Drawing for 30 minutes before checking your phone. Going to the gym, even if you feel like garbage. Practicing guitar with a timer, not your mood. Setting daily entry rituals. Coffee, music, seated desk equals brain says, time to work. This isn't motivation. It's mechanism. Key shift. You don't need to feel like it to do it. This is where most people fail. They wait for the emotion to match the intention. But in creative and meaningful work, the emotion follows the action. The pro knows. I don't feel like doing it, but I'll feel better after I start. Every day you begin before you're ready. You shrink resistance's power. You show your brain who's in charge. Professionals fail too, but they return faster. Turning pro doesn't mean you never procrastinate. It means you recover faster. It means you miss a day, but not a week. You have off days, but not off identities. It's not perfection. It's persistence. The pro says, "Today was rough. Tomorrow I show up again." And resistance hates that. Because resistance can stop an amateur with a whisper. But it can't stop a professional with a plan. In the next part, we'll break down the step-by-step system to beat resistance daily using professional rituals, environmental design, and habit engineering. Part 5, daily systems that break the resistance loop. You can't fight resistance with willpower alone. You need a system. The more you rely on discipline, the more likely you are to fail. The more you rely on structure, the more likely you are to win. Steven Pressfield talks about turning pro as a mindset. Now, we turn that mindset into a machine. Let's build a daily system that beats resistance every single day. Step 1. Define your work. Before anything else, ask, what is my work? Not your job. Not your to-do list. But that one thing that matters, the thing resistance hates. Writing. Training. Studying. Building. Recording. Painting. Designing. Creating. You know what it is. Now define it. My real work is, I do it daily. Step 2. Choose a sacred time block. No success system works without dedicated time. This doesn't have to be 5 hours. It can be 30 minutes. But it must be same time every day. Same place if possible. Non-negotiable. Focused only on your work. Start with one block. Example. 7:30, 8:15 a.m. Laptop open, no phone, writing only. This is your battle window. And every day you show up, you weaken resistance's grip. Step 3. Create a ritualized start cue. Your brain loves patterns. If you repeat the same few steps before working, you build automatic readiness. Sample cue stack. Make coffee. Open same music playlist. Light a candle or open a window. Open a clean document. Put your phone on airplane mode. Begin. Over time, this becomes instinct. You don't think about it, you just flow into action. Step 4. Block the escape hatches. Resistance hides in your environment. Notifications. Tabs. Mess. Open doors. Easy snacks. Accessible dopamine. Kill them before they attack. Close all non-essential windows. Use full-screen apps. Work facing a blank wall. Put phone in another room. Use noise-canceling headphones or silence. Create an environment where doing your work is the path of least resistance. Step 5. Pre-plan the starting point. Never start your session with a blank slate. If writing, leave the last sentence unfinished. If designing, sketch tomorrow's first move in your notebook. If building, note the first action step for next time. Why? Because the hardest part is starting. Preloading the starting point removes friction and makes resistance stumble. Step 6. End with a win, not a burnout. Don't aim to exhaust yourself. Aim to finish while feeling strong. Even 20 minutes of honest, focused work beats 2 hours of anxious procrastination. Train your brain to associate your work session with completion, momentum, control, strength. That's what builds confidence. Step 7. Repeat tomorrow no matter what. This is the real secret. You don't beat resistance once. You beat it daily. And the more days you win, the easier it becomes. You stop hesitating. You stop negotiating. You start to trust yourself. You become someone who does the thing. Summary of the system. Define your work, know your target. Set a sacred block, same time, same place. Use a ritual cue, prime the brain. Block distractions, set the battlefield. Preload the start, avoid friction. End on strength, create reward. Repeat daily, build identity. You don't need to work harder. You need to work on purpose. And that's how professionals beat resistance. Part 6. You'll never kill resistance, and that's good. Most people think the goal is to defeat resistance once and for all, to somehow fix themselves so it goes away forever. But Steven Pressfield gives us the hard truth. Resistance will never go away. It will always be there, every single day. And strangely, that's not a curse. It's a blessing. Let's unpack why. Resistance is a compass. The stronger the resistance, the more important the task. If a project, conversation, or goal terrifies you, it probably matters. Resistance doesn't guard junk. It guards treasure. It doesn't care if you scroll for 6 hours. But try to write one paragraph from your heart. It panics. So instead of fearing resistance, follow it. Let it point you toward the work that matters most. Use resistance as a signal. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding today? What task feels heavy, scary, or impossible? What idea keeps coming back, but I keep ignoring it? That's your resistance pointing to your edge. And your edge is where you grow. You don't get stronger by working only when it's easy. You grow by stepping into discomfort with awareness and intention. Resistance evolves as you evolve. Beat resistance once, and it doesn't quit. It shapeshifts. First, it told you you're not ready. Then it said you're not good enough. Later, it warned you that success might ruin everything. And finally, it whispered, you've peaked, you have nothing more to offer. Every level of growth triggers a new version of resistance. But if you know that, you won't be surprised. You'll expect it, and prepare for it, and walk through it. Acceptance equals freedom. You can't eliminate resistance, but you can take away its power. Not by fighting it, but by expecting it. By waking up each day and saying, of course resistance is here. That means I'm alive. That means I'm trying. You stop making it personal. You stop interpreting fear as a flaw. You stop waiting for comfort before you act. Professionals coexist with resistance. They don't waste time asking, why is this still hard? They say, of course it's hard, let's begin. Because pros understand something amateurs don't. The goal isn't ease. The goal is clarity under pressure. And that clarity only comes through repetition, reflection, and resilience. In the next part, we'll dive into how resistance feeds on fear, and how to reframe fear as fuel for bold action, not a signal to stop. Part 7, fear is the fuel, not the stop sign. You feel fear, so you stop. You assume the fear means, this must be wrong. I'm not ready. This is dangerous. But in the war of art, Steven Pressfield flips that logic on its head. Resistance will always point to what we most fear. And the more fear we feel, the more certain we can be that it's important to us. Fear isn't a red light. It's a neon arrow pointing at your true path. Follow the fear. Fear doesn't mean bad. It means alive. It means close to transformation. Think of moments in your life when you felt fear and moved anyway. The first time you spoke in public. The first time you submitted your work. The first time you started something with no guarantee. Fear didn't stop you. It marked the moment that mattered. The same is true today. Resistance and fear work together. Resistance knows your fear spots. It knows exactly what to say. You'll embarrass yourself. You'll disappoint people. You'll fail and be exposed. But underneath, that is your potential. Pressfield says, resistance will tell you anything to keep you from your work. It will perjure, fabricate. It will seduce you. It will lie to you like a devil whispering in your ear. Your job is to listen and walk straight through it. Use fear as a signal to begin. When fear arises, say this. Good, that means I'm on the edge. That means I'm growing. Fear is not a wall. It's a threshold, a moment of decision, a doorway. And beyond it is the version of you who no longer flinches, no longer stalls, no longer talks themselves out of the life they want. Reframe the fear pattern. Instead of, I'm afraid, so I must stop. Shift to, I'm afraid, so this must matter. And instead of, I'll wait until I feel confident. Say, confidence comes from doing the thing while scared, not before. This is what courage is. Action in the presence of fear, not absence of fear. Never that. The biology of boldness. When you act in spite of fear, your brain rewires. Your nervous system resets. You train your body to recognize discomfort not as danger, but as direction. You build proof that fear isn't fatal, just loud. Over time, the fear shrinks. Not because it disappears, but because you stop obeying it. Build a fear wall and punch through it. Try this. Write down what you want to do. List what you're afraid will happen. Then answer. So what if that happens? Would I survive it? Would I grow through it? Now rewrite the fear. I'm afraid of, which means I must do it. Example. I'm afraid of posting my art, which means I must post it today. This is bravery training. In the next part, we'll move into legacy mindset, how to stay in the game for the long haul, even when success is invisible, results are slow, and no one's watching. Part 8, keep showing up even when it feels pointless. You finally begin. You beat resistance for a day, maybe even a week. But then it hits. No one noticed. No one cared. No results. No praise. No validation. And resistance says, see, this was a waste of time. You're not good enough, just stop. This is the final trap. And most people fall into it. But the pros, they keep showing up, especially when it feels pointless. Success is a byproduct, not a goal. Steven Pressfield says, the professional concentrates on the work and allows rewards to come or not come, whatever they like. If you only create when people clap, you're a performer, not a builder. If you only train when you see results, you're addicted to outcome, not growth. The real game is showing up regardless, because your identity is built through repetition, not recognition. Low results not equal to low progress. Here, that's what's actually happening when you see nothing. Your skills are sharpening. Your fear is fading. Your habits are solidifying. Your mind is becoming stronger. Your relationship with discomfort is healing. But none of that is visible. Because true growth happens underground, before it ever blossoms. The roots are forming long before the fruit. Do look for evidence, create it. Amateurs constantly ask, is it working yet? Professionals ask, did I do the work today? If yes, then yes, it's working. Your proof isn't in numbers. It's in your effort. Every day you resist resistance is a win, even if the world doesn't see it. Build brick by brick. Think of your work like a wall. Each session, you lay a single brick. It doesn't look like much, but in a month, in a year, you've built something unshakable. But if you quit because the wall isn't finished in one day, you never build anything. The power of repetition without reward. Repetition without reward is a superpower. It's how champions are made, how artists find their voice, how businesses get built, how legacies are written. It's not glamorous. It's not viral. It's not fast. But it works. Because the person who keeps going when no one's watching becomes unstoppable when they finally are. You're closer than you think. Most people quit one layer before the breakthrough. Not because they were wrong. Not because they were weak. But because they were tired of not being seen. Don't fall for it. You're building something most people will never have the guts to build. A resilient identity. A creator's mindset. A quiet, unshakable sense of purpose. That's not nothing. That's everything. In the final part, we'll wrap up everything you've learned and leave you with a clear, repeatable mental framework for beating resistance every single day. Part 9, the final framework, how to win the inner war every day. Let's bring it all together. You've seen how resistance works, how it disguises itself, how it attacks, how it evolves. You've learned how to recognize the voice, act before you feel ready, build systems, reframe fear, stay consistent even without applause. Now it's time to leave with a daily mental model, something you can remember every time resistance shows up. Let's call it the 5 laws of winning the inner war. Law 1, start before you're ready. Motivation is a byproduct of action. Waiting to feel ready is resistance in disguise. If you feel resistance, good, start immediately. Train your mind to associate fear with action, not avoidance. Law 2, show up at the same time every day. You can't control talent. You can't control results. You can control rhythm. Rituals destroy resistance by removing decision fatigue. This is what I do at this time, no debate. Over time, resistance learns it's not welcome. Law 3, focus only on the work, not the outcome. You are not your stats. You are not your likes. You are not your sales, your views, or your applause. You are your process. Let the outcome take care of itself. Judge each day by, did I do the work? Law 4, use fear as a compass. Fear points directly at your true path. When you feel afraid to begin, lean in. That's where resistance lives. And that's where you grow. Run toward the roar. That's where the treasure is hidden. Law 5, keep the identity sacred. This is the foundation. I am a professional. Not because of pay. Not because of title. But because of how I show up. That identity must be guarded. Every time you resist resistance, you reinforce who you are. You don't need to wait for the resistance to disappear. You don't need to wait to feel like it. You don't need to wait for the perfect plan. You just need to acknowledge the resistance. Name it. Accept it. Act anyway. Repeat tomorrow. The war of art isn't about one battle. It's about waking up every day and saying, today again I fight. Today again, I choose creation over comfort. Today again I win, not by result but by effort. This is the real art. The one that lives in you. Beneath the excuses, the fear, the chaos. It's waiting. Start.